Welcome back to USNDA TV. I am Noah Scheinbaum, and I am joined this time by Mr. Craig Anders. Craig is the SVP, Senior Vice President of Growth at Aevex Aerospace. Craig, thanks for joining us. How are we today?
Great. Thanks for having me on board here.
We appreciate Aevex being a part of this event here at the National Drone Conference. You all are up to some big things. Why don't you give us the background? What exactly is Aevex, and what are you all doing?
Yeah, so we appreciate the opportunity to sponsor as well. We've been doing so much drone work since the beginning of the conflict in the UCOM AOR. We have expanded greatly as a company. We've built up tremendous capability here in Florida, beautiful factory, largest one-way attack factory in the country for some of the larger Group 3 airplanes that we're producing. Since this whole conflict kicked off, we've sent out over 6,500 airplanes with another couple thousand on the way. Most everything we're doing is larger, Group 3 size, but we have Group 1, 2, 3, 4, and even some 5 USVs, everything. Our company has really embraced the manufacturing technology of the future that's trying to help grow, the defense industrial base for drones in the U.S.
So when you talk about the manufacturing side of this, I know that's something we've heard again and again. It's a bottleneck here domestically. Mm-hmm. What is the kind of the key innovation, the key focus area for you all to be able to scale up your production of this type of platform in this kind of time frame?
Well, so I look at this in a little different lens because there's two kinds of companies out there. There's the ones that say they can scale and the ones that have scaled. We have scaled. And you learn a lot of hard lessons along the way. But as you move through that process, you start to see what becomes very important. Now, quality, the different certifications to have your facility at the right level, that's important. Technology integration, very important. But the most important thing tends to start to drive towards supply chain. You get lots and lots of companies, lots and lots of government organizations chasing, quite frankly, a similar capability. Most long range, most one-way attack drones are the same pile of 200 parts arranged slightly differently. And so, when everybody starts chasing that same supply chain and those same systems to populate their assets, we're going to hit some pretty severe bottlenecks as a country. So, we do a lot of work with different organizations to help grow the industrial base, to help grow the supply chain, to help enhance the different things that are going to make everybody successful in the long term. Because ultimately, we want to be good partners, and we want to be good taxpayers, and we want to be, good shepherds of those tax dollars.
Absolutely. So, when you say you have scaled, give us the before, give us the after, and tell us what it took to get there.
Yeah, so, Aevex, early on, beginning of the Ukraine conflict, we started out with zero. And we worked with a company. We started building, for a government customer, these assets. We scaled up rapidly. I think the first delivery was 30 or 40 airplanes. The second delivery was 60 airplanes. And then, within probably about 6 to 8 months, we were producing upwards of 300 airplanes a month. All those pushing directly overseas, getting right into country and getting to the end user. We went as far as, working with those direct end users to get good feedback and adapt our aircraft because, that whole conflict is marked by one of the most dynamic battlefields we've ever set foot on. The changes in, electronic warfare and jamming and surveillance and all the different means of defeating drones drive you to be really flexible and have the ability to quickly react to that change in a manner that a lot of companies just simply can't keep up with. And in some cases don't have the resources or processes to manage.
So what made you all different? When you say others couldn't react that quickly, is it an organizational DNA? Were there certain types of leaders? I mean, the story you just told, I'm sorry, I'm going to hand it to you and let you answer the question here in a second, but it brings to mind, the book Freedom's Forge, right? A fascinating story of how the United States on the eve really of World War II was not on a wartime footing. Well, it was not on wartime footing. We did not have the production ready to produce the volume of airplanes, the volume of naval vessels, of submarines and ships that we needed and that our allies needed to fight fight the Axis powers. It was this conversion of a huge number of car manufacturers and other industrial facilities here in the U.S., and that was led by some incredible industrial leaders who had the expertise to build those production lines from scratch. It strikes me that we're in a very different place here in 2025. We have really atrophied that production, that capacity writ large has atrophied over the last decades, really since the end of the Cold War. So for you all at that company unit level, what enabled you to rapidly go from zero to not substantially more than zero in a pretty short time frame?
So I'll take it back a notch and then ratchet it back up. I spent my entire career in interesting places in the government and doing very rapid acquisitions. Now, this one specifically, we put it on contract in 9 hours with an organization in the government. We delivered the first batch in 9 days. That's unheard of. And our design cycle had to be between 2 and 3 weeks to be successful in that theater. Every single delivery we made was a different configuration of airplane for 3 years straight. That is unheard of, but that's steeped in our organizational DNA. Everybody at this company, or a vast majority of this company, has a very strong background in government, military, but specifically special customers, special mission areas, special operations. And so, we're very well learned in the process of moving fast, being flexible, taking risks to be successful. And, in some cases, it comes down to fly, fix, fly, and fail faster. But in doing that, you learn the lessons you need to be successful. And sometimes that iteration to success is what you can do and what you have to do to be able to move faster than the normal process would allow. So, we created strong networks of distributed manufacturing partners that we trusted and knew produced quality work. We leaned on them to help our scaling abilities and our scaling efforts grow to a point where it met the customer need. And, as you guys can watch the news, that need, it's not going anywhere. At some point, we're going to take on that same mission set in the U.S. And I'll tell you, the mission set in the U.S. is going to be a tough one because you can't take a drone from Ukraine and use it within government guidelines. I've been in many factories in Kyiv, and they build them very different than we do. They do not build them in a manner that we're going to easily be able to integrate them into our forces and the way we fly and fight. And so there's big policy gaps on the U.S. side that they're going to have to close before we start doing this one-way attack mission, or at least in the manner we're thinking about doing it, or that we've seen it be done. We're going to have to learn a lot of lessons from these conflicts and integrate them into the way we move forward as a country, if we believe this is a big part of the future fight. And I personally do. There's definitely a lot of lessons learned at a national level that have to happen. And then we also have to be able to keep that industrial base in a place where you can rapidly react, but still produce large amounts of assets. And, the best way to do that is have, some level of production that's always kind of in the hopper. Otherwise, starting from scratch, it takes quite a while to stand up a production line for a brand new asset.
Yeah, undoubtedly true. I think one of the themes that we've heard here at the National Drone Conference in the last couple of days is that, look, there's a lot to be learned from Ukraine, from Taiwan, from Israel, from the Middle East. There's also differences in those mission sets, and there's differences in requirements. Ukraine is not the United States of America. And so when they take whatever they can, they're flying DJIs at short range because it's, one, they work. Two, that's what they got, and that supply chain is robust for them. That's a risk that's unacceptable to the United States. We're in a different position vis-a-vis the Ukrainians. At the same time, I think, Craig, it probably won't be. You won't contest the idea that, hey, look, from 0 to a couple hundred is phenomenal. It's also not what we need. What we need, we're now, as of yesterday, the Secretary Hegseth came out and talked about the pathway. So not just the policy, but now the pathway to buying 1 million drones for operational warfighting units. Obviously, that is not just, you talk about group 1 through 5, and there's all sorts of different things they're in. But how are you all thinking about going from where you are now, which is kind of that 0 to 1, that first getting off the ground, starting to put these things out there, to now being faced with, massive scale, a different level of scale? What does that next phase of the company's evolution look like?
Well, and that's a great question. So, one of the big things the government really has to decide on is what the requirement's going to look like and how they're going to exercise, these assets in a manner that makes them successful and usable by U.S. forces. And if you look back, like you said, World War II and these massive efforts that utilized all forms of the industrial base and turned them into the defense industrial base in a lot of cases, you really need to kind of think about that and say, how are we going to utilize the best in breed practices across the entire, industry side that are going to allow for us to get to a point where we can be successful producing that level. And a lot of it is ensuring that the supply chain is shored up. We drive towards common architectures. We drive towards things that work well together, and we have a really hard look at making sure that our efforts are coordinated and not overlapping. There's a lot of stepping on toes. There's a lot of people chasing the same, budgets to get the same things done with different agendas, and we have to kind of come together and all be organized and pointing in the same direction to make that sort of thing actually a reality.
Absolutely. What is the role of an organization like the United States National Drone Association, a third party, a C3? You guys are sponsoring the event today. We've had Crucible events, Crucible One back in the fall. We're moving into the second one later this week, where operational units from across the joint force are coming together to develop tactics and techniques and procedures, and to test different technology and share best practices from across their respective mission areas. You as a vendor and as somebody who's in this fight in the ways that you've described, what's the role of an organization like this for a business like yours, and how are you all interacting with the association?
Well, organizations like us that have been doing the mission for quite some time have a lot of knowledge and a lot of background, a lot of expertise, even out to the very edge. And so being able to bring back those lessons learned and that information into an environment like this with an organization like the USNDA gives us opportunity to kind of help derive the visual and the knowledge for the using community to help shape those requirements and funnel them up to leadership who's going to be driving the ultimate policy that ensures this can happen. And so, really, it's very important to kind of be tied up with the different associations like this and be in the room with our competitors and our essentially our brothers in execution to make sure that and sisters we to make sure that we get out there and all help align each other with common goals and point in the same direction and go after the same types of activities because at some point you're going to need to know what to scale, where to scale it, and who's going to be driving it. Otherwise, everybody's just going to be moving in a slightly different direction, and you're going to be essentially in some cases wasting money and not being efficient and moving too slow to keep ahead of the operational imperative.
Absolutely, and part of this effort is also to build that coalition of partners in the private sector, these vendors who are serving the mission. This isn't just about one-to-one relationships between companies and warfighters or companies and program offices. It's also about companies working together. You hear the term modularity all of the time. The government wants to be able to interchange parts and to be able to fix and modify their own kit.
Yeah.
Part of what I'm curious about is from your vantage point, as you all are on the mission sets that you've been focused on, and as you continue to scale, what are the partners or the organizations that you wish you had, or what do you want others in the industry to know about Aevex? Who would you like to come approach you about working together?
So we actually welcome all partners that want to contribute to the bigger mission. Now, we always love novel engineering and manufacturing techniques, things that help us make more drones cheaper, faster, better. We are personally, we have an amazing autonomy capability. We've built an entire backbone system that allows you to host any autonomy software. We have worked very hard to create an open source system, an open system that anything can plug and play to, that allows any software or any capability to ride on this backbone. Because if you set up a system that's going to vendor lock the government into your specific thing, that's not a long-term solution. You want to be able to grow and build with your customers and ensure that you have the flexibility to give them exactly the capabilities they need to fly the mission set they want, because otherwise you're just forcing what you think is best on them. And so we've always been of the let's partner to win mindset. Not only with other companies, but with our customer, because we want to help build exactly what they want and need with the flexibility they have to go get those best in class capabilities. But we also build those ourselves. So we have multiple paths to being successful for those customers, because I was one of those customers for a long time, and so we really do understand what they want and how they want to take this into the future. So we're very adamant about ensuring that we don't force them in a position where, hey, you can only use that AVEX nut and bolt because your plane's not going to work without it. We want them to say, well, we've got this beautiful, elegant system that doesn't cost too much and is easily producible. And if you want to put your special sort of navigational autonomy or your type of EW package or your automatic target recognition package, we can run those, and you could always modify and upgrade as well, and at a pace that allows you to kind of move faster and always grab that next best thing. Integration's tough. I've seen a lot of places where vendors struggle with integration, the government struggles with integration, but it's really about a partnership, good requirements, diligence, and quality to make sure that all of those things culminate in good testing and good solid data to help show you what you need to keep iterating on.
Absolutely. What I heard there was come one, come all. Aevex is open for business. Craig, if folks want to learn more, whether they want to potentially join the team or if they want to get in touch and they want to share a technology or an opportunity for collaboration, what's the best way for folks to learn more and to get involved?
Aevex.com all day long. We've got a couple great places. You hit the info button on there and you can fill out a form and contact me direct, us direct as a company. You can learn about all our products, all our systems. You can see what we build, what we've done. Some really great stuff, some really good opportunity. And, get out there on the website, check it out. If you're interested in coming to work in the drone industry, come hit us up. And if you're interested in partnering with us, come hit us up.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate you being here. Best of luck to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. I appreciate it.